Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Derek McPherson. I'm a Vice President and Mining Analyst at Red Cloud Securities, Inc. Today's presenter is Cassiar Gold Corp, a company that's revitalized Canadian gold explorer developer focused in BC. Presenting on behalf of the company today from Hong Kong in the middle of the night for us. It's our privilege to have President and CEO Cassiar, Marco Rock, here. Thanks, Marco, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
The format of today's webinar will be Marco will provide an overview of Cassiar for those who aren't familiar with it, and talk a little bit about the company's plans to take its core project to the next level. And then we'll take questions from you, the audience, live. Please send your questions in the chat at any time, and we'll get to as many as we can in the time allotted. To start with, we'll get the disclosures out of the way. For Cassiar Gold, there may be some forward-looking statements made on this call. I would direct listeners to the cautionary note on page 2 of Cassiar's corporate presentation located on the company's website. For Red Cloud Securities, I would highlight that this webinar is for information purposes only. It should not be considered a solicitation to purchase or sell securities or a recommendation to buy or sell securities. And we note that this call does not take into account the particular situation or needs of individual investors. Participants should rely on their own investigations and their own professional advice before investment. Please see our most recent note on Cassiar Gold for the
pleasure to be here, even though it's a bit late in the night for me. So Cassiar Gold, we have 1 million ounces, and we're drilling in search of the next multi-million ounce gold camp in BC. As Derek mentioned, I would like to bring your attention to the cautionary forward-looking statements, as we will be making those today. So there's really a few things that I really want to highlight about Cassiar, and I think they really demonstrate the opportunity that Cassiar Gold is. We have a foundational resource to start with, over 1 million ounces, 43101 compliant, 1.43 grams per ton, inferred, already identified. We're located in a safe jurisdiction. Our flagship project is located in northern BC with full community support and engagement. We also benefit from really great infrastructure. We have Highway 37 bisecting our property. We have a permitted mill on site. We have multiple property access roads, camp, 600,000 tons of estimated tailings, as well as mine permits. We are relatively undervalued compared to our peers on a per ounce basis, and we really have a world-class team. Doug Kirwin, David Rees, which was just added to the advisory team, James Maxwell, Steve Letman, and Chris Stewart, just to name a few. But what's really more exciting is that we have a really substantial land package, 56,000 hectares, with multiple targets. We have a 15-kilometer system that runs north to south in our property, and we have substantial upside potential, not only from the potential to increase our foundational resource, which is bulk tonnage. It's a nice grade, but more excitingly, we also have the potential to grow our high-grade resource, and this is in a 15 to 25 gram per ton material. And it is something that in its own right it has a potential for a multi-million ounce. So these are really the two main topics here. We have a resource who has potential to grow, and also high grade, the historical resource has the potential to be much bigger. So maybe starting with some of the names that we have in our team. Since March, when he retired from being the president and CEO of IM Gold. We also have Chris Stewart on the board. He's a mining engineer. He's a former president and COO of McEwen Mining. We have Wilson on our board. He's a geo, and he is the CEO of our largest shareholder and the vendor of our property, which we now own 100%, called Wild Sky Resources. And then we have Casey Gladwin, VP of Exploration, and James Maxwell, an advisor. They were both quite instrumental in taking Sabina from discovery all the way to over 5 million ounces. Then we have David Rees, who we were just added as our technical advisor a couple of weeks ago. He brings a wealth of experience, not only in orogenic gold deposits. He's one of the foremost experts in orogenic gold deposits in the world, but also his experience in particular to the Cassiar gold property, as he actually worked in this property in the past, and he brings a wealth of knowledge to the team, given his experience in the property. And then last but not least, we have Doug Kirwin. Doug Kirwin is our chief technical advisor. He's really the vision behind the company. He was the first one to take a step back and really look at the property for its potential beyond the 1 million ounces that were already identified, and he's really excited. Not only with the potential to grow the bulk tonnage resource around Taurus, given its open in multiple directions, but more excitingly, the high grade, orogenic gold, the golden quartz vein deposit system that we believe we have at South Cassiar or Table Mountain. In terms of our cap structure, we have just over 54 million shares outstanding. And our market cap at 59 cents is roughly $32 million. I think the listeners today have the benefit of maybe finding shares in the market at a nice discount to what is here, which is already quite undervalued in my own opinion. We also have a good set of shareholders. We've added, actually, with the help of Red Cloud as well, a significant number of institutional investors. None of those actually mentioned there. We still need to ask the permission to put them on a presentation, but you would be names that you would recognize very quickly. In addition to those that you can see there as our key shareholders. For those who've followed the company in the past, we've substantially increased the institutional shareholder base, and it's now over 23%. And we also have a substantial percentage of our shares being held by either the board, the management, advisors, or insiders, like the case of Wildsky Resources, which owns just over or just under 22% of the company. So, talking a little bit about valuation, this is a slide I really like. You can see on the blue bars it's enterprise value, which is a proxy for market cap or valuation of the company. The yellow circles stand for EV per ounce. You can see, Cassiar Gold on a per ounce basis is relatively undervalued compared to most of its peers. Some of its peers don't even have a resource, in which case the EV per ounce, doesn't calculate. But we are quite below some of the names here, and some of these names are, of course, you have Victoria Gold, which is a producer. It's located in Yukon, and it's more of a aspirational. An aspirational comparable. They're not in terms of the grade. Their grade is actually quite low. Their head grade is 0.65 grams per ton, and which is below our cutoff grade. So it just shows how nice our grade is, particularly if you consider the fact that there's almost no overburden near surface and surrounded by infrastructure. But so Victoria Gold is it's a bit of a cheeky comparable, but the other names are actually, or Cisco as well, but the other names are actually quite good comparables. You could argue for the stage of development, but most of them are North American orogenic gold, British Columbia type projects, and I think pick any one of them, and on a like for like, I think. If you take into account the valuation, I think we come out as a very, very attractive opportunity. So, focusing in on our assets, we have two main assets, both located in British Columbia. Our secondary asset, Sheep Creek, 100% owned, is located in southern BC, next to Salmo, next to the border with the US. And our flagship project, Cassiar Gold, is located in northern BC, or already hosts the Taurus deposit, which is already over 1 million ounces at 1.43 grams per ton, which is a very attractive grade. We also have in our flagship property at South Cassiar basically a past producing group of underground mines which have produced recently in the 70s, 80s, and 90s over 350,000 ounces of very high grade gold, 17, 20, 21 grams per ton, and also placer gold mining in the late 1800s. So narrowing down into our flagship property, it's a very substantial property, as I mentioned, 100% owned. It's 56,000 hectares. It's surrounded by infrastructure. We have Highway 37 coming from the south here in red and bisecting our property west to east. The resource itself sits entirely on the top of the yellow dashed oval, which is this little orange smudge next to the highway, next to the Cassiar Highway. We enjoy the benefit of having a permitted mill on site, 300 tons per day, gravity flotation. It is small, but it's good to have it there and permitted. We also have a camp, multiple access roads. We have all these roads that connected these old, the historic mines into obviously the mill and the highway in the camp. We also benefit from having tailings, 600,000 tons, estimated at 1 gram per ton. This is not 43101 compliant, but it has been tested. And we also have historical resource on the south part of our property, but I'll get to that part of the south part of our property, the high grade targets, a little bit later. Just to give you a little bit of a visual on our property, this is looking from north to south. You can see the Cassiar Road, the Taurus deposit here, and just south of it we have Wings Canyon, and then further south we have the mill, and then we get into the Table Mountain or South Cassiar part of our property. That's where we have some of the the mine portals, the historical mine producing areas, which will be the focus for us in 2021. So narrowing down further into our resource, into the deposits, just to give you a little bit of a reminder, the entire resource sits at Taurus here in this circle. So it's just over 1 million ounces, using a cutoff grade of 0.7. We have an average grade of 1.43 grams per ton. If you look at the long section at the bottom of your screen, you can see basically how shallow the resource is, and the fact that there's almost no overburden to speak of. So the focus of the drill campaign that we've recently completed, but we are still still in the beginning of releasing the assay results, was very much with the goal of confirming, expanding, and exploring around the resource. So the resource is open in multiple directions, laterally at depth. And that's what we did. We drilled lateral extensions. We drilled at depth. We also drilled some infill, or where we have gaps in the resource model, so that in places where we felt we could add ounces, or we had the potential to add ounces. This is a cross section of the Taurus area as well. So we are looking west. So the left side is the southern part of the resource, where most of the mineralization sits. The mineralization is in orange, is the altered basalt. You also can see maybe on the right hand side, you can see the overburden in how thick it is, or how narrow it is. Most of the mineralization is below 100 meters. If you look here at the grid on the left at the scale, and the overburden, which is this dotted above mostly the green parts, is in the smallest part of it's overburdening the smallest part of our resource, and on the thickest parts, it doesn't go beyond 20 meters. So this really shows basically how shallow it is, and basically how almost no overburden we have at our resource. Also, this picture, it gives you a good visual of our mill. It doesn't look too bad. It's a little bit small, as I mentioned. 300 tons per day, was built in 1986. Gravity flotation, and it's quite valuable because it's also permitted. A little bit about MET. I've added this slide to talk a little bit about the metallurgy. A lot of people have been asking me about this. So most or over 95% of the resource is free milling. Less than 5% is refractory. And the old timers at South Cassiar were getting recoveries above 97%. At Taurus, the studies that we've made, give us a high 70s in terms of recovery for the non-refractory part of the ore. The refractory part is substantially lower, but it also is less than 5% of our resource. So it's something that we're not too worried about. So going into the summer drill campaign, basically the 5,000 meters that we've just completed drilling, and we've released the first 7 drill holes last week. So you can see some of the highlights, but basically, if you can look, this is a zoomed part of our property, narrowing where our resource is in a lot of the historical drilling. The green dots stand for the drill holes that the first 7 drill holes that we released, and the results that we were able to release so far were very positive for us. So we confirmed historical results. All drill holes came in mineralized. And we also were able to basically had some really nice interceptions, mainly in this gap here we have in the middle, with some really nice grades over some long meters. So this adds to the potential of adding this section to the resource, in addition to confirming the historical results that we have. Also worthwhile to note that the grades that we had from our first 7 drill holes are also higher than the grade of the resource. We don't expect generally the grade to go up that much, but our goal is really to add ounces. So it's really positive to see this kind of results. This table here shows you a little bit of the highlights, or more information about the drill holes. You can see the drill holes start with mineralization very, very close to surface, or basically at surface, from 7 meters, from 6 meters. There's some really nice intersections here. 12.3 meters at 2.84 grams per ton. Or 14.85 meters at 2.27 grams per ton. So this gives you a little bit more color about the drill holes and some of the highlights from the drill holes that we already released. It's worthwhile noting that we still have 17 drill holes pending. So those will be coming out over the next few weeks. So do stay tuned for those. we expect to continue to release more positive results from our drill campaign. Now, this is the focus of Taurus. So this was the focus of this season. We will be releasing results over the next few weeks, as I mentioned, and potentially out of this, we might do a resource update, basically, or start that work as soon as we have the full picture of our drill campaign. But in any case, and as I alluded to before, we have a very, very prospective part of our property that warrants our attention, and that the Kirwin really is very. The Kirwin and the rest of the technical team are very excited because it's a brownfield target. It's a target that has a wealth of information, and it is also a target that has the potential to be in and on itself a multi-million ounce potential, which is South Cassiar. Just to highlight or to illustrate the potential that we have here, we have and we are fully financed, by the way, for a 15,000 meter drill campaign next year. So we've just completed a raise a couple of weeks ago to fully secure the funds for next season for our 15,000 meter drill campaign here. So it's going to be a big campaign, and we expect to have a lot of exciting results coming out of this. But just to give you an illustration of what we have as potential here, you can look on the table on the bottom at the past production that we had in this part of the property. Roughly 350,000 ounces, most of it at very nice high grades, mostly in the 80s and 90s. 17 grams per ton, 21 grams per ton. We also have an historical resource here from 2010. It's very small. It's less than 100,000 ounces, but it has a very nice grade. The indicated part has 18 grams per ton, and the inferred 24 grams per ton. So really, this is orogenic gold, gold in quartz vein type setting. These types of systems have the potential to be stacked multiple times, and you just can keep on going. A lot of people made comparisons between Barkerville and Doug also mentioned and also compared this to Fosterville from Kirkland Lake down in Victoria, because he's also works there as an advisor. So he understands the mineralization there quite well, and he sees a lot of similarities. So hopefully we can test that potential and find something similar. And this is going to be the focus for next year. So you can see on the right here, on the table on the right, you can see some in purple or in red actually, some of the veins that have been mined. In green, the historical drilling, which was mostly focused around the stuff that was eventually mined, but there are still a lot of veins left, which are in purple, and there's a lot of more veins to be found. And as I mentioned, these systems typically they're stacked, vertical and horizontal veins, one after another. So this is going to be the focus for next year. We're very excited about the potential here, as well as the potential to grow our bulk tonnage resource. But there's only one thing more exciting than growing resource at 1.5 grams per ton, which is growing a resource at 15, 20, or 25 grams per ton. So this is going to be our focus for 2021. For those who are wondering, in this part of our property, it's hard to drill. First targets that we have are around basically the veins that are already been identified, and we're going to work our way out and as well as down to drill and try to see how and try to test the limits of the system. So in terms of catalysts, starting from the bottom, we are assays are pending for our 5,000 meter drill program. It was a 24 drill hole program, 7 already out. All of them had mineralization, quite a positive start. So please stay tuned for the rest of the drill holes will be coming on over the next few weeks. We continue to achieve our corporate milestones and enhancing our corporate profile. A lot has changed. I've joined as CEO in July. We've completed 2 financings. We started a drill program, added advisors like the Kirwin or David Rees. We've added other members to the team. A lot. We've completed a name change, a share consolidation. So a lot has been happening, and now our focus, is waiting for the drill results, and at the same time, we are starting quite an aggressive marketing push to raise the investor awareness. We already attracted an institutional shareholder base, also with the help of Red Cloud, and our focus really is to increase the awareness and let the investment community know what we have. As I mentioned before, I think we compare very, very well to any names out there. So please do have a look. Please ask questions if you have. Please research. I think we have a very compelling opportunity, and I think if you would like to know more, please do not hesitate. And then lastly, for next year, which is also on the horizon, is a 15,000-meter drill program, which has very high-grade targets and has the potential to generate a lot of excitement, especially because we are not drilling blind. We know where it starts, and we know that the veins are there. We just have to figure out how far they go. And maybe not mentioned here is also the potential for a resource upgrade and or updates, and also potentially some economic study. But let's see how things go in Q1. So just to recap, a foundational resource, very nice grade, already 1 million ounces, no major flaws, in a safe jurisdiction in northern BC, surrounded by infrastructure, near surface, almost no overburden to speak of, potentially open pitable, still quite undervalued, and this is quite an opportunity. And I guess the people who are listening now, they probably have an opportunity to buy shares at the prices that I haven't seen for a while. So there you go. And we also have a world-class team, so we know what we're doing. We are well equipped to succeed. We have a multi-million ounce gold camp potential. We have the potential to increase and to expand our bulk tonnage resource, which we don't think the grade won't change too much, but we think we can make it bigger. And then we also have in and on itself a multi-million ounce potential at South Cassiar on our high-grade material. And that's it. Thank you for listening, and maybe we can go for some questions.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Marco. That was a good overview. I think one thing when you talked about everyone else's profiles, you kind of left out yours, and I think that's probably an important point. You've been involved with Cassiar for a while, and much sooner than just taking over CEO a couple months ago. Maybe give us a little bit about your background with Cassiar, why you got involved initially, and then now why you've sort of taken the bull by the horns and become the CEO.
Yeah. So I'm actually Portuguese, born and raised. So I started my career in private banking, did capital markets, went for Barclays Capital for 6 years, then moved to Hong Kong, did my MBA between Hong Kong and LBS in London, and then started working with Emerging Markets Capital, which is basically a fund merchant bank investing in the resource space, most particularly in precious metals. So I've been involved with what is now Cassiar over the years as an investor, and I've met Steve Letwin and the rest of the boards for some years now. And to give you a little bit of the background, was earlier this year I was taking a look at my portfolio, and I was looking at the company, and I was realizing that, well, it's we had basically 1 million ounces in the company, and no one cares. And it seemed to me that it was either potentially something wrong with the assets, or it was under marketed or under loved. And basically after some initial due diligence, the first thinking is it's refractory, which it's not, as I mentioned. It's deep, it's not, as I mentioned, and it's surrounded by infrastructure. So that's when I got Doug Kirwin to basically have a look at the property, and I was just expecting him to do what he does with most projects, which is shred it to pieces. But surprisingly, he came out with flying colors, and he said basically, yeah, the 1 million ounces are great. They have room for improvements or potential to grow, maybe even double. But what's exciting here is the South Cassiar part of the property, and that on itself has a multi-million ounce potential. That's when we basically approached the board and said, listen, this is Doug's view. I think it will be a shame to see the company getting taken out by another bigger company for a song. I think we should go and raise money and basically drill to prove the potential to grow the bulk tonnage resource, and also to prove the potential for a multi-million ounce camp at South Cassiar. Sorry, that's a very long-winded explanation. Did I miss something?
No. I think you got it. You were a shareholder. You were reviewing your portfolio, thought there was something wrong with the valuation or the company. Turns out it was the valuation, and so you decided to get more actively involved and move the thing ahead, and help move the thing ahead and get it back to get it back going the right way. And I think that's the right decision. I think the share price reflected that. And I think this goes to another a question on the line. And it's unique because obviously you mentioned that obviously it's been very cheap now, sort of stocks round tripped a bit after being up very much earlier this year down at these levels. So the question's about insider buying, but I think insider ownership is an important point as well to talk about. I mean, there's you talk about the significant insider ownership that you have, and then how that sort of breaks down on the individuals, because there's some people here who have written some fairly large personal checks to help forward this thing along. So
so our largest shareholder is Wild Sky Resources. They own just under 22%, so they're reporting insider. Then we have Steve Letwin. I think he owns, I can tell you, basically roughly 5% of the company, and then that's basically 27. So then the rest of the board and management owns roughly the rest, and that's basically not taking into account some of our family members. So we have significant skin in the game. We want to make this succeed, and we're well aligned with shareholders to do that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes it unique. And just for clarity for everyone, Wild Sky was the original vendor of the property to.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And they've hung around with their position.
They don't intend to sell. Everyone. I think all Wild Sky and the majority of boards and management, they have a cost basis that is significantly higher than what we see in the markets. So we have a long way to go to make everyone whole.
I guess the next couple of questions are about some of the targets. Question from one of our viewers is asking about what he said. Previously on the website, there was a management target for the resource of 3 to 5 million ounces. And his question was, is this still the target? And then, what was the decision on sort of taking it off the website?
Well, there was no change. Like that's still the target. The way we see it internally is ballpark. We guesstimate that the bulk tonnage resource has a potential to maybe double. But who knows? It might be even more. But we could see the potential there on the bulk tonnage for maybe 2 million ounces. And on South Cassiar, it's a multi-million ounce potential, but we can easily see 3 million ounces there. These systems can be really, really large, but it's very speculative to call any number. There's 350,000 ounces of production. There's less than 100,000 ounces of resource. There's a lot of similarities with a lot of monsters and elephants out there. I think we have a very good chance to have 3 million ounces, and it's just not me saying it's Doug Kirwin and the rest of the technical team.
And I guess maybe you have to do the work still though to get there. So the 15,000 meters you're planning for next year will be a step towards that direction. From the same listener, question on other metals. Is there silver or nickel or zinc in any of the in the properties? No.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Now, last question, and this was on the tailings. Have you thought about running the tailings through the existing mill to raise cash, or is that sort of a little too difficult to succeed?
Yes, I think that there has been. I personally haven't looked at it. I know that the company has made some studies on it. We could potentially monetize roughly 20 to 30,000 ounces of gold. Personally, I think it would be a distraction for such a small company. Our prize is finding, ounces at 20 grams per ton. Not producing ounces at 1 gram per ton. I think the disruption we would create in such a small company would just be a distraction and would distract us from our goal, which is establishing a multi-million ounce camp here.
I guess the focus here is the value creation through the drill bit.
Correct.
The way to think about it. Okay. Now, a couple of additional questions. Obviously, we saw your last drill results, and time is running together for me right now, but with COVID. But I believe it was last week from the Taurus deposit in Taurus deposit. I thought they were good results, and we put that in the note we put out. But maybe talk a little bit about what you think those results mean, and then also what you expect when investors should expect the next drill results.
Yeah, I think those results are very positive and very significant. They confirm historical results. There was some drilling in our property that was RC, so that always raises some questions by some people. So those concerns were eliminated by the confirmation of the results. We've also all drill holes came in mineralized. That's positive. Some of the interceptions are higher grade than the resource, which is also very positive. And we also have, particularly to those drill holes that were basically in the middle of the resource, we had a gap there that is roughly 150 meters by 150 meters, and basically, this is where we had significant interceptions, and that lends to the potential of adding that section to the resource model. And these are, basically, this is at surface, which it's also another benefit. So so I think that's very positive for us. This property hasn't been drilling in a few years now, so it's really positive to see some action with positive results, very encouraging, which basically gives us the potential to increase the resource. And regarding the news flow or the assays coming out, we expect, I think probably our next set will be next week, unless we have some QA/QC issues. But I think we'll probably release the next set of results next week, and potentially the last set of results in the second week of December.
Okay. So of the meters that you've built, how many meters are left to be released to the market?
So that would be roughly 3,800.
Okay. Okay, that's a good healthy number. And then just maybe obviously Taurus is a nice underpins the valuation for Cassiar. But obviously the exciting part, as you mentioned, in the drill program next year is about Table Mountain and that Cassiar South area where you're going to drill. Can maybe talk about what the work that you guys have done this year on the ground to get ready for that drill program and sort of give yourselves confidence that you're going to sort of hit that program?
Yeah, well, a lot, and I think there's really a wealth of information that we have. Actually, we have a lot more information at South Cassiar than we have at Taurus, for example. So because it's a former producer, we have basically all the production records. We have a lot of drill core that was never assayed. Of course, the geos went on to do mapping exercises, and they came back from the mapping exercises with rock chips with visible gold, which it's pretty exciting to see as well. Doing some geophysics. There's a lot of data processing as well. So we're overlaying a lot of historical data that wasn't necessarily produced by the same operators. So there's a lot of work in making that actually all consistent. And we're also planning to do some geophysics, some passive seismic during the winter, and as well as refining the geological model as we work from the veins that already been identified and work our way out to come up with a model and define our drill targets.
Okay, that's good. I'm looking forward to when drilling resumes. So, looking ahead, looking ahead for investors, look forward to some drill results over the next into the end of the year, and then drilling starting in early next year on Table Mountain.
Q2. Yeah, in Q2.
Perfect. All right. I think with that, I think we'll wrap it up here. Thank you very much, Marco. Thank you for joining us what is the middle of the night for you. And I'd like to thank everyone who joined us as well. Obviously, Marco and I could just have a conversation with each other at any time, so having you here to participate is important as well. And thank you for everyone who asked questions. Just a reminder that we have a full slate of webinars on the go here at Red Cloud. And so if you want to see this webinar, the replay of this webinar, or any of our upcoming webinars, go to our news and media page to learn more. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening.